back, everyone. This is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, here with another hero breakdown video. If you haven't figured out who I'm going to do today, we've got these new heroes, Victor and Bianca. Now, I've already done the first look video on both of these, but you know me, I have to break these down just a little bit more in depth with their own separate videos. So this one is going to be all about Victor. I'm going to talk about his skills, different ways you'll probably see him used in combat, a good talent tree build for him, and commanders that you're going to pair him with likely once he becomes unlocked in the next couple of weeks. Without further ado, let's get into it. Skill number 1 deals damage to the target 12,500. If garrisoning, increases this skill's damage by 15%. That is quite a bit. Just a 10% increase puts that at 13,750. So it's getting an extra 5% on top of that, and we're not even awakened. So for a single target damage on a garrison commander, pretty solid. Now, this isn't going to help out with swarms, but if you're just in a 1v1 situation on your own shelter or something like that, this is going to be helpful. Just straightforward, it's gonna hurt people. Skill number 2 increases own squad attack by 17% and squad HP by 17%. Remember, these are not troop specific, so while it is only a 34% increase to stats, it is to all troops regardless of what they are. So yeah, infantry, rider, or range specific buffs are going to be higher than this, but we'll talk about why this 34% is still pretty substantial given what you're probably going to use it for. Skill number 3 reduces skill damage taken by a flat 17%. That is after all calculations. Everybody else is going to deal 17% less skill damage to you. That's just great, considering a lot of the damage that you're going to take from rallies or from attacks on your shelter is going to come from skill damage. A lot of times people aren't going to worry about their own defense, so they're going to throw everything they have at offense. Reducing that damage, always a good thing. And that works in the field. When the squad contains more than one troop type, which in a lot of cases it will, increases squad attack by another 20%. Paired with the first skill, that is an increase of 37% to attack, regardless of troop type. So, starting off pretty strong. I like this. Skill number 4, when garrisoning, increases squad HP by another 20%. Paired with the second skill here, that is a 37% increase to squad HP. Basic attacks have a 20% chance to deal additional damage to the target of almost 2,000. Almost. 1920 is just shy of 2,000, and if you've heard me on multiple videos, I tell you that 2,000 is about a round of combat. So, once per 5 attacks, he's going to deal an additional round of combat to you. And there's no cooldown on this. There's no once every 5 seconds. There's no waiting for this to happen again. This could continuously happen and give you a quick edge in battle. You're going to bank on it being an extra 2 rounds of combat per 10 seconds, but just know that depending on if RNG is in your favor, this can make a big difference to your defense or your offense if you decide to use it that way. Final skill is just an upgrade to his primary skill, which was already pretty nice. Damage factor 1375 and increases skill damage by 20% if garrisoning. Now, I want to make sure that this part is clear. It says increases this skill's damage by 20%. You can't use him to boost another hero's skill damage. It's kind of sad. The 37% attack does boost it, but this skill damage increase right here doesn't affect your assistant or your leader if you use him that way. So keep that in mind. He's not going to be useful for actually boosting skill damage from another commander. Now, As far as how you'll use him in combat, he's a Garrison commander. These talent trees are not bad for Garrison. The defense tree and then falling into the Garrison tree afterwards makes for a solid shelter Garrison commander. And considering your shelter is 99% of the time going to have multiple troop types, you're going to get that additional 37% in attack and HP constantly. So you'll have more than one troop type and you'll be garrisoning. So they built this commander to lead shelter garrisons. We will see how well he does at that, but I actually have pretty high hopes for this because while, don't get me wrong, Thunder is an amazing commander. If you start putting riders, ranged, and God forbid cars in a tower with Thunder, his garrison capabilities start falling off, especially if you decided to go infantry guard as a talent. Once you start falling away from infantry with an infantry commander, you start to lose a lot of their power. But Victor, it doesn't matter what you have in there. He's going to boost everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to be used. I do imagine that a lot of the whale players in this game are going to use Victor as their garrison commander while they have their 5 other troops out on the field. And for a very good reason. I mean, if you've got, 1.5 million troops out on the field and you're a bit weaker to a rally and you end up taking a rally, he's going to be a good commander for actually defending you even in a weakened state. So I have hope for him. Now, note that his active skills damage is buffed by Garrison, and he gets the additional squad HP from garrisoning. But that's it. Everything else can work in the field. Do I think you're going to fuse him in the field? No. I do believe there are better options for running in the field. I will probably have a use for him, personally, because being that he can run primarily infantry units and still be just fine. But most people are probably going to stay away from him in the open field. Now, as far as talents, like I was saying, you're going to want to build him as a garrison leader. Depending on what you decide to go with here, I would suggest going ahead and getting all but the max skill on the defense tree. You can put points in it to get that additional rage when reduced to 30%, but if you're using him as your shelter garrison, you shouldn't be banking on reinforcements. So once you're down to 30%, you're going to get hit. This isn't going to be as effective. Once you've gotten everything that you want out of here, then I would come over to the garrison tree, or I would probably go into the garrison tree. I don't think there's much in the leader tree early on that would help you, except maybe steadfast defense and the rage bonus. I feel like the garrison tree, especially some of the early talents, are more effective. Reducing skill damage by another 16% overall, increasing your stats by a little bit more, increasing actually getting some use out of your lookout towers, although I probably wouldn't do that. And you get you get better rage generation from the garrison tree than you do from the leader tree. So put as many points as you can into this. I would not get hang tough for Victor, and then put the rest of your points in rage generation from the garrison tree, some additional stats, and try and get a little bit of rage from the leader tree. Now, as far as who to pair him with, he's going to work with just about anybody because you're going to focus on his talents and his abilities. If you're an infantry main focused person, sit with Thunder. Thunder still has a lot of good garrison buffs. Reducing damage, increasing counter damage, getting that awesome heal off, having the reducing all damage taken by an additional 12%. So if you have primarily infantry, run Thunder. If you have primarily ranged units, you have two options. You could run Jacob as your new commander, who's going to get a benefit from the additional attack power. It'll stack with the additional range squad HP that he gives, and all of the damage buffs that Jacob gives will stack onto that single target damage that Victor can do. And then, of course, tried and true Rage Generation God and AoE spamming monster that Lewis is still a very viable option here. Now, as far as a rider commander, I'm a little bit on the fence because I don't like using Bella as a secondary, and you're not going to get a lot of flank bonus for Elena. So it's kind of a toss-up to where you want to go here. I do believe even Catherine would be somewhat effective here just to try and kill the enemy faster, if you want to go that route. But I would likely go with either Catherine or Bella here, personally. Because while I always feel bad about having that damage buff be on a secondary, it does still increase the basic attack damage that you're going to be doing, and it does have a chance to overlap with Victor's fourth skill, dealing the additional basic attack additional damage. So it's there. You can go that route. So, and with that, that's Victor Blackwood. I do believe he's going to be a fairly useful shelter garrison commander. I'm curious to see if anyone uses him in the field, but I don't see that happening too much except for very specific circumstances. But with that, I'll leave you with any addition. If you believe this commander is going to have any other uses, please let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to talk with you about this one because he's kind of interesting to me. With that, this is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, signing off.